I just got back from Dice Tower West in Las Vegas, and I have to ask, was it worth it? And would I go back again? If you're thinking about attending or just curious about what it's like, I'm going to break down my experience, what I played, what I liked, what I saw, and what stood out to me. Stick around until the end to hear my final thoughts. Dice Tower West is all about what makes board gaming so fun. It focuses on the people. Everyone's eager to jump into games, teach new players, and just have a great time. Whether you come with friends or alone, it's super easy to find a group and just start playing. Over the course of the event, I played 18 different games. 14 of them were brand new to me. Here's a quick breakdown of how each day went. Also, before I forget, if you're enjoying the content so far, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. Thursday was our first day of gaming, and we started off fairly heavy with Brass Birmingham. This was a game I had never played, but I had been very curious to play. This game is an economic strategy game based in the Industrial Revolution between the years of 1770 and 1870. I know the theme may not seem the most interesting, but the game was a lot of fun. At its core, the game was not too difficult as you play a card and do an action. But I can see there being a lot of depth in this game by the amount of strategy that you have available. I think the part that was really tricky for us was just putting the canals or the railroads and how you link your networks together so that other people have to use your coal or your iron so that you can flip your tiles and score more victory points. It was really tricky, but I really did enjoy it, and I'd be eager to play this game again. Afterwards, we played a quick game of Gun It. This game is a timed cooperative game, and this game kind of felt like a spatial puzzle in the sense that you're moving your car around in an optimal position to take out as many vehicles around you as possible. And the game was taught by the designer himself, Randy O'Connor, which was really cool to experience being taught a game by the designer themselves and getting their perspective on the game. I also got the chance to play a social deduction game called Secrets. This was a nice, quick, easy to learn social deduction game that I wouldn't mind playing again. And while I was at the event, I had to buy some more Star Wars Unlimited cards as the new set had just come out. Set number 4 jumped to Lightspeed. They had some boxes there, and they had a pre-release, which I'll get to more later. We also got to try out the new game Ego by Reiner Knizia and published by Bitewing Games. I really enjoyed this one, as this is an auction game. But the interesting thing about this game is that you're not auctioning or bidding with money, but rather with these tactic cards. And each of these tactic cards can be like gifts, persuasion, intrigue, or even tech trade. As the theme of this game is that you're traveling across the universe, visiting different systems and contacting different aliens. And you're trying to schmooze your way through these different systems, creating relationships by having persuasion, by showing gifts. But each system has their own requirement of types of cards that they want. So at the beginning, you're trying to draft cards or get cards by different ways. And at the end of it, that's when you start bidding or auctioning these cards to see if you get first dibs to the rewards that that system provides. Really interesting game. I played one game of it, but I'm really curious to try this game out again. And then after that, my wife and I found an open table and just tried out some different games, as well as some games that we are familiar with, such as Viticulture, a classic game that we love playing, just my wife and I. So we got to play that with the Tuscany expansion, but we also got to play Lost Ruins of Arnak, and that game is slowly creeping up for me in the sense of becoming one of my favorite games ever. The more I play it, the more I enjoy it, and the more I'm excited to just invest into different strategies and learning more about the other expansions that are in this game. We also tried out 2 different games. First, we tried out Faraway, and this game was interesting. I enjoyed it. It wasn't a game that I fell in love with, but I had heard a lot of good things about this game, so I just wanted to try it out. So the game was fairly straightforward and fairly simple, and you can rack up quite a bit of points if you know how to synergize the cards. It was a good game, not a game that I fell in love with, but something that I was just curious to try, and I'm happy that I did. And then afterwards, we got to try out Boop, which I had heard a lot about it. I know it's a abstract strategy game where you're placing cats on top of this bed and you're trying to knock each other out, trying to get 3 kittens in a row, and then it converts into a cat, and and then you're trying to get 3 cats in a row to actually win the game. I did not expect to like this game as much as I do. So I'm glad that we got to try it out here in the convention, and my wife and I fell in love with this game. There's a lot of strategy involved, and the theme is so cute. We have a cat, his name is Moco, which is Spanish for booger. So the theme is something that we enjoy, but the game is thinky enough where it feels good, but it's not too thinky where it just hurts. I enjoy abstract strategy games. That's just me personally. My wife, it can be hit or miss. As I like That Time You Killed Me, that's an abstract strategy game, but that game can get extremely thinky to the point where it's just like your head hurts and it just doesn't feel as fun. Boop just felt like it had that nice balance where it's cute and it's thinky enough where it feels good and satisfying, but it's not too thinky where you feel like you just don't want to play again after the game's over. And then on Friday, we got to play quite a bit of games. I'm gonna be quick on this one. We started off with Orbit, which is another Reiner Knizia game that's coming out from Bitewing Games. This one is a game where you're flying your ships, trying to visit all the different planets, and the first one to do so and then return to their home planet wins the game. The game was pretty simple and straightforward. It was fun, definitely enjoyed it. May not be a game that I may want to revisit, but if somebody actually had it and they wanted to play it, I'd play it again. And then we got to try out a demo of chicken fried dice. I love Chinese food, specifically chicken fried rice, so when I saw it, I was like, okay, I have to try this. This is a roll and write game. This game is not out yet, and I think they're doing a Kickstarter later down the road, but we got to try it out. It was fun. I really did enjoy it. Again, you roll dice and you're trying to grab the dice to fill out certain orders, but if the dice aren't in the certain color or number value that you need, you can alter them by means of your frying pan and different things in your food truck. And I love the theme. It was really cool. So I'm really curious about this game and how it progresses later down the road. I also very quickly tried out Tic Tac Boom. It's not out, but I met the designer there. I was curious about it and he showed me a quick rundown of it as you're playing tic-tac-toe, but there's more to it as you have 2 cards that are out and you choose one of the actions from the 2 and then you just go back and forth, or you can just take, if I remember correctly, you can take a chance to see if you can reveal it, and if you don't, you blow up. I can't quite remember, but I did enjoy the whole action between the 2 cards where you always have an option. Then afterwards, I did have a game scheduled for Arcs with some other players who had never played it. So the teach took a while and we played it first at 4 players, and then midway through the game, one of the players had to leave and then we played it at 3. And I have to say, I don't know if I'm going to want to play Arcs ever again at 4 players. But at 3, it just felt really good and it just felt more streamlined, it felt quicker. It could have been maybe the 4th player that they had a little bit more analysis paralysis, but when we played it at 3, it just rolled and it had a good flow. At 4, when I've played it, it just always feels like it's slow. But again, I love the game. 3 players, it just felt way better than 4. I don't know, that's just my opinion. I'm not sure what you guys think. Comment down below. And to end the night, I did sign up for a pre-release event for Star Wars Unlimited. The new set, Jump to Lightspeed, set number 4. And I'm really enjoying these new cards as there's now a piloting action where you can get a pilot for each vehicle. Really cool, had a great time. And in that event, I did meet Justin from Box to Board. It's a small little company where he creates these modular trays, even dice towers. Really great guy, great company. I love his products. If you're interested, I'll put a link down below. And now we are on to Saturday. And at the morning, we went straight to the flea market, which at the start, there was a long line, but as soon as the doors opened, it went by really quickly. And what this flea market is that you can sign up to have a table and sell your board games. Let me tell you, there were a lot of board games for sale, and you can find a lot of great deals at this flea market. So I was just curious, did not come with a mindset that I wanted a certain game or anything like that. I just was gonna walk around and see if I found any good deals, and I did. I felt like the flea market itself was a huge value because we found a lot of board games at really good prices. And at this flea market, I actually ran into Reggie from Rolling Reggie. He's another YouTuber who does board game content, which if you're not subscribed to or have not viewed his content, check him out. I'll leave a link down below. And so when I met Reggie, we hit it off really well, and I was just telling him how I'd recently gotten a game called bus. So we got to try out this game together, and man, I really enjoyed this one. This is a Splotter game. It's a worker placement game. And again, you're placing lines to have the most effective route for your bus line. I really enjoyed it at 3 players, and I am looking forward to try it at 4 and potentially 5 players, as I hear it gets way more cutthroat at a higher player count. Then afterwards, they introduced us to Modern Art, which is a Reiner Knizia game. I had heard many good things about it. I just didn't feel as motivated to try it. But since we were there, they showed it to us, and this game was a lot of fun. My wife absolutely loved this game, and it's really about how you influence the market. The economy of how valuable an art piece is really determined by the group and how much money they want to put into it. Because as the rounds progress, the ones that were more popular become more valuable over time. And then afterwards we played Bonanza. This was one of the games that I actually picked up at the flea market for like $5. So I was curious about it, and they showed it to us. Reggie, it was Phil, and then Kenan from Punchboard Cathedral was there as well. Great guy. Also, he has a podcast. Put a link down below if you're interested. And then the final game that we played that Kenan was willing to teach us was Scythe. This was a game that we had been wanting to play for a long time, especially my wife. And I found a good deal there at the flea market. It was unopened, it was still in the shrink wrap, and it was for a very decent price. So I went ahead and got it. And when we met Kenan, he saw it and he loved Scythe, and he was willing to teach it to us. And yeah, we really enjoyed this game. We enjoyed it so much where we actually played it later, my wife and I, later that same day. And I really did enjoy the engine building process. I stalled in that first game, but I can see why a lot of people enjoy the game. So I'm curious to try out the other factions and the other play styles, and I can see there being a lot to dissect in this game. And later that day, I had made plans to play Hegemony with 2 other people that I had met the day before, and we made the decision to let's just learn it together. Hegemony is a very big game with a lot of rules. So thankfully, we had a looking for player sign, and somebody came up and they had already taught the game that same day and was willing to jump in and teach us the game so that we can all play it together, which I am so thankful that that happened, because we would have been there all night trying to learn the game. And I really, really enjoyed this game. I only got to play it for a couple of hours, as I had made plans with my wife to play some other games, and I knew that this was going to be a long game. So we came into it knowing we're only going to play this for a couple hours just to get our feet wet and just to try it out and see if that's something that we enjoy. And I really liked it between the asymmetric factions, right? That there's the middle class, the state, I can't remember the other 2, but it's asymmetric, and it's how each faction works together, and it's basically like social economics. Towards the end, I was getting a good flow of things, and again, it has that same mechanic with Brass Birmingham. You play a card to do an action. Either you play the card to do its effect, or you play the card to do something else. I would very much like to play this game again, but I don't know if this would be a game that I'd be willing to learn and teach. And also, I don't know if this would be a game that would play well with my play group. But I hope to play this game again in the future, hopefully in another convention. And then afterwards, we did play Scythe, my wife and I again. Really enjoyed it. Plays very differently at 2 players than at 4. But we still enjoyed it nonetheless. And then on Sunday, we had a flight early in the afternoon, so we got to play a few games. We played Lost Ruins of Arnak, and then afterwards we played Boot. One of the biggest strengths of Dice Tower West is how well it brings people together. It's super easy to find a game, whether you bring your own or just want to try something new. And the thing that I really enjoyed as well is that they have an expo where they have booths and you can buy there, but it doesn't take away from the event. But if you want to shop around, you want to buy something, support small business, or just try some new games from a big publisher, the option's there. So the question is, was Dice Tower West worth it? Would I go again? After experiencing everything from the people, the games, and the expo, here's my honest take. Do I think it was worth it? Absolutely. I had the opportunity to play a lot of board games. And at times when you go to this convention, I think some of the thoughts that come to mind is anybody gonna let me play? Am I gonna be able to find some sessions to just join in. It was my wife and I. We got to play games together and we very much enjoy it. But we also want to play with others. We want to learn how to play new games. But at times, one can be shy and we don't know how to just jump in and just ask, because we never want to go into an awkward situation or just put ourselves in a position where it's just like, hey, let me play. The convention makes it so easy to just jump into a game, whether through the Cardboard Events website where you could sign up ahead of time, but also through the signs where you're just looking for players or you're wanting to look for a teacher to teach you the game. It makes it easily accessible for anyone to just join into a game. And this convention is very different from, let's just say, PAX Unplugged, which is the last convention that I attended. PAX Unplugged felt like a good balance of you get to play some games but also get to shop a lot. But this one focuses primarily on playing board games with a little bit of shopping if you want. So if you're looking to just play some games, looking to play some games that maybe you have a hard time pulling out for your game group or just with anyone, these board game conventions are good opportunities to pull out those games and finally play them. Or is there a game that you've been wanting to play but you just don't want to purchase because nobody's going to play it in your game group or with your family? You can do that in these conventions. Whether you would go with a big group or even by yourself, I think you're gonna have fun regardless because you'll always have games to jump into. So what do you think? Have you been to Dice Tower West or are you considering it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you and your thoughts. And if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button down below. And speaking of conventions, I recently went to PAX Unplugged for the first time. Have you been curious about going to that convention? Hear my thoughts here.